Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to Key Wisdom Tarot. My name is Ruth. I'm your Reiki Master and Tarot Reader, as you know. And this, my darlings, is our daily pulse for Wednesday, the 29th of April. So, as you can see, we can see some cards already. As always, we will look at our key messages. Yes, another number 4. Before moving on to what's facing us today, what's hidden from our conscious mind, and finally the blessing. And before we do any of that, we will look at the card at the base of the reading. In fact, before I even do that, I'm going to pick up Tiny because he's been waiting. Come on, then. Come on. Oh boy, he just wants to sleep on his mummy today, don't you? Just say hello. Hello, everybody. Okay, we've seen you. Right, you lie down now, okay? Okay. Okay, he wants to sit on me. Okay, you sit there. You sit on me. Good boy. Tiny likes tarot and he likes meditation. He always loves to watch doing tarot, and he always, every night when I'm meditating in my little area, he likes to be there with me. Oh, good boy. Anyway, okay, my darling. So, card at the base of the reading is the Page of Swords. Now, we know the card at the base of the reading, I never say this, but the card at the base of the reading is really the overall perspective of the day for us, really. And today it's our Page of Swords. So this is the diligence, the focus, the attention, the detail orientation that's necessary to increase our clarity in thinking, to increase our clarity of thought, to increase our knowledge, to find things out. Now, remember, with the pages, with the kings, with the queens, etc., they all indicate maturing energy. They all indicate, in this instance, our ability to apply, because it's masculine, so to act, it's to take actions, to do things, to our mental our logic and reason, to apply our logic and reason. So that might mean, as we said, we're doing research, we're trying to find things out, we're looking into things, we're looking into great detail of things. It means also that our insight or our foresight is increasing, so our awareness is increasing, we're maturing in our awareness, and we're starting to really, again, as I said, for some of us, we're doing that work, the practical stuff. We're doing that practical stuff where we are maybe reading these books, or we're looking for these videos online. We're looking for that advice. We're trying to find things out. So let's have a look. So that's what we're all doing, because we're trying to increase our awareness and our understanding of what am I feeling today? What am I feeling in general? Who am I in general? As I said, those big questions, that we covered in yesterday's reading, and we've been covering this week because we've had all the number 9s, and we've had number 9s, we've had number 4s, and we've been looking at our higher learning this week. And this really just further emphasizes and indicates that we are maturing in our higher learning, we are maturing in that, and we are applying ourselves. Now, it's interesting, isn't it? We come to this key message. Now, you are sick of seeing number 4s. However, as I tell you, every time we see a number 4, like we saw one yesterday in this position, every time we see a number 4, I remind us that it is the year of the number 4. It is 2020. So it is not strange, is it, that we're seeing, and January, February, March, April, and it's April for another day as well. So it's, we're 444 again. We're 444 again, yeah? I mean, we cannot be surprised to see it. We can't be surprised to see number 4. I'm going to show you again, just because, I show you these things. It's been a while since I've shown you the 4th house. So 4th house is about our structures and the foundations in our lives. This is what the 4th house in astrology refers to: home, property, family life, these things here. Underground, mother, father, so roots. It's where we come from, really. And as I said yesterday, the year of the 2020, and what number 4 is about, it is about us. Oh, yeah, he's moved, he's there now. The year of 2020, the year of number 4, what it is about is looking at the structures that we have in society, looking at on a massive scale, on a macro scale, as the year 2020 is, as we do as a society, as we do as a world, but also on an individual level as well. We're having to answer those same questions. We're having to grapple with those same questions. So we're looking at our lives. We're looking at the society that we live in, that we're looking at how we have sustained these things, the energy that we've put into sustaining this and upholding our own realities, and our own society on a whole, as I said, for 2020. And we're looking at those things, and we're asking questions this year. We're asking questions, as I said, as individuals, on my life. Am I doing the right thing? Is this what I want to do? Am I happy doing this? You're asking those questions. I'm asking those questions. But we're all asking those questions. And as I said, the virus is forcing us all to ask those questions, isn't it? It's, as a society, what are the key workers and what are important jobs, and do we need fast fashion? Do we need all this international travel all the time? We're asking those questions, and we will ask more and more of those questions. Do we need national health services? Do we need the World Health Organization? So as a society, we're asking those questions during 2020, but also as individuals. So for us today, when we look at this energy, this is Pentacles energy, so it's my energy, darlings. It's Capricorn energy, darlings. It's Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo energy. And Pentacles energy is all about, as you know, where we put our energy and effort in order to manifest security. Now, it's also about 1, 2, 3, 4. It's also about love. It's also about our heart chakras. And in that space, in our heart space, our love center is about our compassion. So number 4 is also about compassion. It's also about hope. It's also about love, obviously. It's also about forgiveness. That's what 2020 is about for you as an individual, but also for us as a world. It seems, intense. Some of the questions that we grapple with, some of the things that we're facing, some of the things that we're dealing with. But ultimately, there's blessings there. But ultimately, there's blessings in 2020. There's blessings even in this intense crisis that we find ourselves in as a world. Now, today, with the 4 of Pentacles, what we do is I like to call this the consolidation card. I like to say, for this card, it's like we're understanding, or trying to understand, or trying to label or point at, these are the directions that I go in, or this is the direction that I want to go in. This is the effort that I'm willing to put in. This is what I think is necessary and needed to further sustain my security, or to further establish or to re-establish my security. But I'm not going to act on it today. Now, it's the investigation, really, with this card. It's the understanding with the 4 of Pentacles. It's recognizing, or trying to recognize, or trying to identify where you're, what makes you feel secure, and also in the future, what could potentially help you to feel secure. That's what this card represents, and that's what we're doing today. We're as we know, we're actively engaging in that. So even though we look like we're chilling, here. It looks like we're chilling. So if someone else looking at you might think that you're chilling, but there's a lot going on in your mind, and there's a lot going on in your smartphone or your tablet or your researching today, to really try to understand. Okay, these are the things that provide me with that security. And maybe, but in the future. This is what I've got now that provides me with security. That's what he talks about. That's what the 4 of Pentacles talks about. But he also thinks about, if you will, and investigates and questions, really, what's going to help me to feel that security in the future. Is this something that's going to sustain me in the future? It's those type of questions today. And what's interesting is what's facing us when we have those type of conversations with ourselves, and we do those type of investigations, and we look into that type of energy, what we get is we do get this kind of outcome. This is the joy of the 10 of Cups, and this is what's facing us today, and this is the blessing that we see. Now, I often say, I tell you the difference. I say to you on the longer readings, on the extended individual star sign readings, I'll say to you guys, the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups is very different. They're both abundant, but they're very different. So in the 10 of Pentacles, everything that we have abundance because we've worked for that abundance. We can point at I've got the job, I've got the house, I've got the kids, I've got the car, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. That's 10 of Pentacles. 10 of Cups is that same level of abundance, so feeling like I've got this, I've got that, but it comes from within. It's understanding where your joy comes from. That's what the 10 of Cups represents. It's understanding where my joy comes from and being able to access that readily. That's what the 10 of Pentacles represents. You okay, Tiny? We're looking at you. We're looking at your tiny dog. You're cute, isn't he? You're cute. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Okay, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the 10th house. I've just here we go. this is what the 10th house represents. So it is the 10th house is actually ruled by Capricorn, actually, which is obviously my sign, Saturn and Earth. But look at the thing that look at what the 10th house actually. You can't see because of the focus. Look at what the 10th house actually monitors, governs, if you will: career, occupation, status and reputation, moral standing, employer, superior. So it's like, I think what's really significant and important in this instance is these two areas here: the status, the reputation, and the moral standing. Also know that Saturn, which also rules number 10, which also rules the 10th house, is the planet of lessons. It's a planet of showing that you've learned. Have you learned the lesson of that loss? Have you learned the lesson of that trauma? Have you learned the lesson of that karmic period? Now show me. That's what the 10 also represents. So again, we learn, don't we? Where does because it's cups energy, where does my joy come from? What's subconsciously, because it also has subconscious mind, our divine feminine, so our subconscious self, our memories, or the impact of our previous experiences. That's all governed by the cups energy. And it's number 10 here, so it's understanding that they provide us with an opportunity. Number 1 is the beginning of understanding that, and number 10, and the 0, is that doorway, that opportunity, that portal. And that's what we get with the 10 of cups. We get the opportunity to understand where our joy comes from. We get the opportunity to engage with the lessons that we've learned from the impact of the previous experiences. We talked a lot, or I talked a lot this week about my own personal experiences, my own personal journey with PTSD, etc., anxiety, etc., and overcoming that. And that's the thing. It sounds crazy to say, I think, for people to hear, there's a blessing in everything. But the amount of work and effort it takes to get to that level of understanding, but it's real and it's true. There's blessings in everything. And I say that to you when you know what I've been through. I'm at that place in my life now where I understand that. And I have been for obviously a few years. There's a blessing in everything. And this is being able to tap into that joy, being able to tap into that blessing, being able for you to tap into those lessons that you've learned and the impact of those lessons. I really have a theory that, people who are exposed to significant trauma, especially at an early age, especially if it's before the age of 7, that those people will and are a lot more sensitive. So those people could develop and to develop their psychic self, or if you will, because they are used to listening. They're sensitive. So if you have that sort of that emotional sort of a really traumatic experience as a young person, especially before the age of 7, because 7's the age where, anyway, I won't go into that. But yeah, basically, there's a whole thing about our life cycles, etc. But I really do think that if you have a sort of that type of experience before the age of 7, that you are likely to develop your spiritual side, and you are likely to be very, very sensitive intuitively. So you'd be it's much easier for you as you get older to feel what other people feel, to empathize, to be an empath, if that makes sense, and a healer in that sense, because you are engaging always for a long time with your emotional self, and you're listening to that, and it's making itself heard to you. And so I do think, and that's what I'm saying, so even the traumas that are terrible and awful and shocking and bad, they do give us blessings. And as I said, I speak from experience when I speak to you. Okay, that's what Key Wisdom stands for. One of my Imogen, hey Imogen, she watches every day, I presume, I don't know. And she said, Ruth, you know what, you'll get more views if you stop. She said, you'll get more views if you stop talking about yourself. I said, Imogen, I can't control it. I don't decide what I'm going to say. But again, in truth, the beauty of and the joy, really, of even, it doesn't matter what anyone's comments are. That's your reaction, and you're as entitled to have that reaction as I am as entitled to have the reactions that I have. So I go with the flow, feel the energies, and that's how I live, and that's me being mindful. And that's the same for everybody else, whether they're mindful of it or not. What happens in our lives, the only thing we can control is our response to our reaction. That's it. That's all we can control. Things are going to happen. We're going to respond to it instinctually, energetically, emotionally. We're going to respond to it. And the only thing we can control is our response to that reaction. So I'll just say that again. Things will happen in life. Someone will call you a name. Someone will shout at you. Someone will cheat on you. Your dad will leave your mum, whatever. Things will happen in life. And when those things happen, we will have an emotional response to those things. An emotional reaction. I have to say the difference. We will have an emotional reaction to those things, which is instinctual, which is learned because of the memories that we've held and the experiences that we've had and the impact of those previous experiences. The only thing you can control, the only thing I can control, is my reaction to that response. Is that right? Yeah. That's it. Yes, I did it. Yeah. So that's the only thing we can control. We can only control the reaction to the response. That's it. So I cry when I hear people dying on television. I cry. Of course we all cry. I cry when I hear the numbers, the COVID, etc. I cry, and my heart goes out to these people. But all I can control is how I respond to the fact that I'm crying. Do I judge myself? Do I say, oh, don't cry, you stupid idiot. Why are you crying? I don't say that. I just accept that that's important for me to feel that. That's where I'm feeling today, so that I'm entitled to feel that way, and I'm entitled to respond that way. And that's why everything that happens to us is a gift, because in everything that happens, no matter how traumatic, even the stuff that happened to me, which was terrible, obviously, it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad that happened. I'm not glad that it happened, of course. But I'm glad that it gave me the compassion and the understanding to be able to accept experiences that have happened in my life, and to be able to give that to other people, give that compassion to other people as well. So I know that, as I said a few days this week, politicians are just people reacting to stuff. That's all they are. Even the worst politicians in the world, even the worst historical figures in the world. And we're thinking about the same people, yeah? Even those people, yeah, they're just people reacting to stuff. They had lives. They had experiences that happened in those lives, and they reacted. And they responded to those reactions. And I have the compassion. My life has taught me, my experiences have taught me enough compassion to understand that's it. That's it. It ain't more complicated than that. It seems more complicated, but it isn't. Well, granted, unless you think about the fact that every single tarot card represents an individual experience or reaction, and then therefore, and each of the tarot cards as well, there's multiple different interpretations of each of these experiences. So that's a lot of different experiences, isn't it? A lot of different life experiences, a lot of different things, a lot of different ways we can react and respond. Yes, it's true. There's a lot. But you've got to have a way to recognizing that the universe doesn't give you this to punish you. The universe gives you this to teach you. That's what your karma's for. Your karma's there to teach you. Just like the lessons of Saturn. Let me see what you've learned. Okay, I've been going on. I like to go on. I don't know what it is, man. I feel good with you guys. Okay, so Page of Cups. Now, this is what's hidden from us. And this is our inner child, my darlings. I like to refer to this card as our inner child. And that's because it's about our vulnerabilities. What's hidden from us is our emotional vulnerabilities. And, some of you might be happy about that. Some of you might have been emotionally, we're getting to that point, aren't we, where we're starting to sort of, I don't know, maybe it's it's going on for a long time. It's a marathon, and we're feeling the fact that we're running a marathon here with the whole corona thing. So some of us might be feeling vulnerable anyway, but others of us, because of our awareness is increasing, because of our sensitivity is increasing, because we are listening more to how we are reacting emotionally, because we're listening more to that, we hear more. We have more information. So we may be feeling a little bit vulnerable, but again, with it being masculine, we're still doing. We're still engaging, we're still, grappling with, we're still trying to find out, we're still looking at our emotions, we're still trying to increase our higher learning, even if we are looking at things that we haven't looked at for a while, or we didn't want to look at, or we were afraid to look at, or we have been afraid to look at up until now. We're still doing it. We're still looking. And again, the vulnerability, you're going to think about, you might think about this thing that's happened to you, that this traumatic experience that's happened to you, just like I described. It could be a different experience that you've personally had, but you could look at that today, for example. And you could be looking at that traumatic experience today, and your reaction, so you're just your natural sort of instinctual emotional reaction is sadness, is pain, is fear, is nervousness, is worry. It could be that. But you have control over how you respond to that reaction. How do you respond to that? Do you judge yourself? You shouldn't. What you feel is what you feel. What you felt is what you felt. How you feel now is how you feel now. We don't have to judge ourselves for that. We have to accept and acknowledge that this experience, this intensity, this sadness, this distress is absolutely natural for me right now. Otherwise, I wouldn't be experiencing it. So why am I judging it? I'm losing. I've had times where I'm like, oh my, like my brain. Like when I as I said to you, 2013, when I was talking to you guys about my nana when she passed away, and I started meditation, my brain would not function, and I would be, oh my God, like I need you to shut up, or I need people to leave me alone, or I could not think. But I didn't have the energy, because if you've ever had anxiety, depression, etc., you don't have the energy to judge. Well, maybe you do have the energy to judge yourself, actually. I didn't have the energy to judge myself. I just lived it. If I was angry, I was angry. I just walked my dog. The only time I left my house was to walk my dog. That was it. Tiny dog, I tell you, he's my saviour. But I didn't judge myself for feeling that way. I didn't judge myself for thinking that way. I've been there where I thought, oh, I'm going to kill myself. We're going back now, obviously, years now. But I don't ever judge myself that I had those thoughts and those feelings. I thought that, or I felt that at that time. And these are the type, I'm not saying that you're on that level. I'm just giving examples, as I always do. But I felt that at that time. But now looking back at that, I don't judge myself. I don't say, oh my God, I was so stupid, or oh my God, I was so this, or oh my God, I was so that. I just say, oh my gosh, that's where I was at then. And I'm so glad that I was able to release. I'm so glad that I was able to heal through meditation, etc., etc. So there might be vulnerabilities hidden from us today, emotional vulnerabilities, ones that we're sitting on. But again, remember, the blessing is there. That's what you're facing. So even if there are vulnerabilities there are blessings there as well. That's what we feel today, hopefully. That's what we're investigating today. That's what connects our higher learning. That's what connects our emotional responses, reactions to our conscious mind. That's what we're doing today. We're sort of combining the two. We're connecting those two together. We're connecting our emotional frailties, if you will, or emotional traumas. We're understanding the impact that they've had on our conscious self, on the actions that we take, on our perspective now, on who we think we are now. We're understanding the impact of those emotions in a practical way. We're able to make that connection and that link today. And that is a blessing. But what is our blessing? Let's have a look. Oh, bless you, my dear. So it's all cups, and it's all feminine today, actually. So it's all about our divine feminine, because as we know, the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, are feminine, the feminine signs. I can't get my words out there. The divine feminine signs, as are the water signs. So Cancer, Scorpio. Honestly, my brain. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio so they're the feminine, and then we've got a masculine energy here with the sword energy. Anyway, I digress. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles here. So the blessing, oh my gosh, see, I feel like kissing her today, because it's just, remember that I just feel sort of like the beauty of this card right now. I'm feeling the beauty of this card because I want, oh God, you've really got to connect today with your third chakra, your second and third chakra, and actually your fourth chakra, your heart chakra. You know, this space here is really good today to just to sort of connect with, because that's the feeling that I just got when I picked this card up, and I still have now, and it's beautiful to have that feeling. And remember, the divine feminines, I should say, are all about our, as I said, the impacts of our previous, you know, our emotional self, our subconscious self, the wisdom or the understanding that we gained because of the things that we did in our life, the understanding that we gained because of the things that we did in our life. That's what the divine feminine represents, our non-physical self, our perspective, you know, why we think the way we think, why we feel the way we feel, etc. That's what the divine feminine is linked to. And the Queen of Pentacles today is really showing you the beauty of this is she's showing you the gift, the real I can't think of the word, the real thing that you gained, the actual stuff, if you will, the actual understanding, if you will, that you gained because of the experiences that you've had, the things that you can, the solid stuff that you can take away from the experiences that you've had, from the learning that you've been doing, from the wisdom that you've been gaining. This is the thing that I can take away. That's what she holds in her hand, you know. And this is why Pentacles is about our security, because, and this is why when I was talking to you guys yesterday about it seeming a convoluted karma seems convoluted, doesn't it? We have these experiences which are terrible or awful or shocking, you know, like Corona, for example. We have these experiences and then we think, oh my God, like, why? You know, God, have you forsaken us? That's how people would say in the past, have you forsaken us, God? And it's like, this is why I don't say the word God, because God's become a man on a cloud, and that's not what God is. God is universe. So universe gives us what we need in order to learn. Universe gives us what we, like Saturn, remember 10th house, universe gives us what we need in order to learn, in order to be able to realize and recognize that the past stuff that's already happened is as much a part of you as, so the stuff that you can't see is what I'm trying to say. The stuff that you can't see is as much a part of you as the things that you can. So the things that we can't see are as important and as significant to who you are as the things that you can. So yeah, as I said, with the Ten of Pentacles, we can point at the house, we can point at the car, we can point at the kids, we can point at the money, we can point at the bank, the money rolling in, or the whatever it is. You can point at that stuff, yeah? But there's a whole other side of your life which makes you who you are that you cannot see. The Queen of Pentacles understands that. The Queen of Pentacles energy engages with that, and the Queen of Pentacles energy recognizes the significance of all that. That's what this energy represents, and that's the blessing of it. And so when as I've been saying this week, when I talk about those blessings every day, and in everything that we do, we serve ourselves, even in the moments of crisis the personal crisis that we feel, the stress that we feel. Just by noticing that stress, just by acknowledging that tiredness, we serve ourselves, because we realize and recognize, by noticing the tiredness, by noticing the stress, oh my gosh, I'm tired. I'm going to give myself a bit of nurturing today. I'm tired. I'm going to rest today, or whatever it is for you. Because you recognize, then you rest, and then you think, oh, I'm going to feel better today. Yeah, I feel good. You know what? I need to do that more often. I need to look after myself. These are the type of questions and the type of actions, if you will, or the type of energies that the Queen of Pentacles represents and highlights. It highlights compassion, it highlights self-compassion, it highlights the recognition that we have to, and that I have to, and that you have to have compassion for myself. And again, it's that compassion that you have for yourself when you learn to just recognize, well, of course, you know, I have trust issues because, you know, I was a victim. So of course I have trust issues. Recognizing that those trust issues, for example, for you, maybe, that those trust issues are real, And you don't have to judge them. You don't have to judge us. You don't have to say, I'm a stupid person because I have trust issues, or I'm a stupid person because I, don't do this, or you're not a stupid person. You're not a stupid person. No. You just need to have more compassion for yourself. And that compassion that you have for yourself is something that you can then learn. You do. It's automatic, really. You just learn it from the people. And that's why I'm always talking about these people and these politicians and saying, I love them all. It don't matter who they are. It don't matter what, it's not that it doesn't matter who they are, and it doesn't matter what they've done, if you will. But I think just imagine what it would take to happen to you. You are you right now, today, sitting in your house, doing what you're doing, right? Imagine what it would take for you to get from that being who you are, a normal person, to being someone who's, for example, racist, or to being someone who's, a bully, or being someone who's, violent and aggressive, or being someone who, God forbid, would actually physically harm or kill another person, for example. Just imagine don't imagine, but I'm saying, imagine. Because they're just people too. They were born, they were born from a woman. That's how all babies come into this world. I'm sorry if that's news to some people, but everyone's born the same. Yeah, we all come out of our mummies. That's what happens. And so, what is different from this person coming out of the mummies, and from me coming out of my mummy, for example, and in fact, I won't use me from him coming out of, I'll say him, from him coming out of his mummy, and, I don't know, Hitler, for example. What's different? Think about what would have to happen in your life, or don't think about it, but just ponder that. What would have to happen in your life to get you to get you to be that hateful, for example, to be that hateful? Because you ain't born hateful. You weren't born a racist. I don't care what people say about this bias. It's not true. Crying out loud. People need to realise that that's just stuff that people say to justify the action, or the inaction, I should say, when it comes to issues like LGBTQ, when it comes to issues like race, etc. It's just things that they say to make themselves feel better, but it's not true. Anyway, I digress. So just think what it would take for people to get to that point where, what it would take for you to get to that point of hate. So that's why I have compassion, because I understand that to get to that point where you hate someone else, a group of people, or whoever, that much, that you want to kill them, that you want to torture them, that you want to murder them, that you're not bothered if the children die, that you're saying, look at where we're at in Great Britain. Turn them away. We don't need refugees here. Just, how did we get to this point where we don't want refugees? Forget them. No, I found out during a pub quiz the other day that the first Windrush generation came. We're not Windrush because we're Nigerian, but the first Windrush generation came to this country in 1946. I went, 1946. My guess for the answer was 1956, or was it 1940? It was either 1948 or 1946. My guess was 1956, and I thought I was being quite. Some people on the quiz guessed in the 60s. 44% of doctors in this NHS in this country, 44% are black and ethnic minorities in this country. 44%. Do you know how many black and ethnic minorities people live in the UK? They make up 14% of this Great Britain. And yet, if you would have picked up the Sun's newspaper 8 months ago, you'd have said, oh, we're being flooded by all these immigrants, by all these people. It's like, you don't, anyway. What I'm saying is, what does it take? And then there's people who actually hate that much. They go outside and they want to kill people. They want to kill. They want to kill people. Can you imagine what it would take for a person to get into that, to come into that mind frame, and to not then just come into that mind frame, but then to act on it? So in a way, I actually have sympathy. And I'm not being facetious when I say that. I truly do. I have sympathy, because I think their life must have been awful. I truly do. I can't believe I'm crying for racists. But I think their life must have been awful. If they can have so much hate in their heart for anybody. Like, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate the man that raped me. I don't hate him. I do think sometimes, how people get to where they're at. Who am I to judge? I ain't no one to judge you or anybody else, not even bloody, I don't know, I always say Donald Trump, but you know what I mean, though. I ain't there to judge. That's not my job, and that's not your job either. But anyway, if you're in a place in your life where you're judging, then that's where you're at, and I ain't going to judge you for that, Anyway, so today, I don't know, you know what I like? I just go on, don't I? Yeah, so this is why it's important. The blessing is to recognize that everything that happens, even the past stuff that happened, it gave us something. It left an imprint. And that imprint is significant. That imprint is important. And it's that imprint that we're looking at today and that we're investigating today. So engage with it. And remember that, whatever happens, when you get angry, when you watch someone on television, you hear these politicians talking about this, that, and the other, or or you're having an argument with someone on, on Facebook or whatever, on the social media. Always just remember that we all come from the same place, regardless of what the media want to say, regardless of what the old way of, the way that they justified, being slavery, for example. Regardless of all that stuff, it's not true. We are not born racist. We're not born fearing other people. We're not born fearing brown people, or I'm not born fearing white people, or whatever. We're not. That's not how it is. That's just what they say to justify the fact that they haven't done anything to redress the balance of the damage that our ancestors and their ancestors years and years and years ago, that damage was done, and still we haven't dealt with that damage. But anyway, just recognize that we're just people reacting to stuff, and the only thing that you can control is how you respond to that reaction. And so, today, just notice that it matters. Where you've been matters to you now. Where you've been has an impact on who you are today. And this is really a card of compassion. This is really a card of recognizing that today. So that went on a bit as always, but I'm going to leave you now. Tiny is sleeping. I hope you like that reading, my darling. I will be back with you tomorrow for a brand new Daily Pulse. Have a wonderful day, my darlings, and I'll see you all then. Take care, my darlings. Bye.